There is a widely accepted view that indigenous peoples should be protected from the outside world, their innocence preserved. But my experience of the Yanomami convinced me that they were entirely capable of making their own decisions. My self-appointed minder, Shamupusiwe, known to us as Tapir, was so curious to know where we came from that now, 4 years on, I'm returning to honour my promise and take him on a trip to England. Tapir's village is 600 miles from the nearest small town, and the closest I can get by plane is a remote Catholic mission station at Platanal. As the plane touches down, the first person I spot is one of the young Indians whom I knew from my first visit. Then another face from the past appears, the one man whose local influence and organisational skills can turn my proposed jungle trek into a reality.
This is Alfredo. This is the chief of this particular village, and he's an old mate of mine, and thank God he is, because without him we'd be completely sunk.
I've been invited to stay the night at the mission before setting off on the 30-mile walk to Tapir's village, Erimawateri. My host is Padre Bortoli, an Italian missionary who has devoted more than half his life to the welfare of the Yanomami. Bortoli is passionately committed to protecting the Indians and their territory from outside exploitation. I was anxious to know what he felt about my plans.
Can go outside and see other people, why not? It's a human right, no? Everybody has the right to go and to see other things and to change if he wants to change. Why we can't prohibit to do that kind of change? Nobody. No? I think so.
The next morning, we gathered a team of porters and set off. Within minutes, we were into dense rainforest, home to some of the most dangerous snakes on Earth, not to mention venomous spiders and a hideous selection of biting insects.
We're 5 minutes into the journey here. All the bags are falling apart, but they're telling me that I've got to walk on ahead, which is probably very sensible because it's because they know they can make up the time and I can't. Okay, vamos. Okay, and the first log crossing of the journey, and it's a big log, no hay problema.
The cameraman and I, neither of us particularly intrepid, felt rather chuffed that we were keeping ahead of the other porters. But stopping for a moment to catch my breath, I began to sense that something had gone horribly wrong.
I think I'm just beginning to prove rather effectively that I'm not officer material. We set off with 5 porters only an hour ago. We're now down to 1. Now, admittedly, some of them have got very heavy loads, and it may be taking them longer than it's taking us. But one of them has already abandoned his bag on the path, so we're lumbered with an extra bag. Our friend here would like to come to England. He'd like my trousers, he'd like my shirt, he'd like virtually everything. He'd particularly like some biscuits, and we haven't got the biscuits with us. The biscuits are in one of the other bags. And although it's at the moment not a major emergency, there is the awful possibility that the 3 porters who are actually supposed to be following us have given up and either abandoned the bags and just run away, or taking our bags away with them. So we just have to wait and see.
And so we waited. And we waited.
You know, I've had deep affection for the Yanomami, but they are a strange people. They live in an incredibly tough environment. I mean, that we are just utterly pathetic, and I mean, the very fact that we just drip sweat all the time. And we're just not built for this environment, so we're immediately a joke. And unfortunately, because I do play the fool, and I'm perfectly happy to admit that I do play the fool, and half of the, you know, not half of them, but there is one part of these people that actually, I think, finds me quite endearing, but there's another half of them that just think, what a bloody arsehole. Whilst we were filming my little reflective bit, just away from insects, our final loyal porter is also pissed off. So we now have been completely abandoned. I'm sure we can find our way back from here-ish. I'm reasonably certain we can find our way back from here. But we have no insect repellent. Their world is so bloody different to ours. So bloody different. But I just worry that when we go back to the mission we will be told that we are stupid nabby and we have no idea how to treat the Yanomami, and that we should have been firmer with them and everything else, and maybe we should have done, and that's the problem with my language.
I was now going to have to face the indignity of returning to the mission having failed at the very first hurdle.
I'm not that tough, I'm not a disciplinarian, but I'm bloody going to well start to be one. You bastards! You just wait till I get my hands on you. And I should never even have started on this, but I cannot believe that I'll walk into the jungle after 2 hours. Ah! Oh! Okay. Woo! So what's happened? They've eaten all the food. Ah!
Throughout the jungle. The Yanomami's habitat is unusual in that it is directly related to their own particular perception of the world. Their communal homes, called chabonos, represent a scale version of the cosmos as they see it. The central part recalls the celestial dome, while the lower part of the awning roof is a replica of the lowest part of the sky, where it meets the earth. The support beams for the roof provide the shamans with access to the higher world. Each chabono houses a group of about 100 blood relatives. From these come those exceptional individuals with supernatural powers, the shamans. These are men of considerable knowledge. They are healers and witch doctors. The Hekuras, the spirits of the animals and jungle plants, live within their bodies and provide them with their great power. To enter into communication with the Hekuras, it is necessary for the shamans to use ebena and yopo, powerful hallucinogens made from vegetation. The grains and ashes of tree bark are vigorously pressed. The paste is then dried on embers and ground to create a very fine powder. The hallucinogen thus produced is then inhaled through the nose. The Yanomami's universe is inhabited by evil spirits, which cause illness and bring death by stealing the souls of the living. And so the sick are entrusted to the care of the shamans, who transport themselves into cosmic space, where they can chase the demons and recapture and return to their owners the souls of their patients. This child is suffering from a severe case of dysentery. He is dehydrated and is about to lose his soul. The shamans have undertaken the dangerous task of reclaiming the child's soul from the demons. But the path they must travel through the cosmic universe burns like fire, and the soles of their bare feet become covered with burns. But still they forge ahead, in spite of the risk to their own lives. Exhausted, the shaman finally recaptures the soul of the child, which has materialized here as a feather ornament attached to a bow. Terribly burned by the fire of the demons, he stumbles, and his face twisted with pain, he cries out. Finally, after having returned the soul to the child, he collapses, drained by his efforts. He is carried into the shade, where he is fanned by palm leaves. Water is sprinkled on him before he is devoured by the fury of the flames. Thanks to his tenacity and his courage, the child will be saved. The reputation of great shamans travels far beyond the limits of their group. To be initiated by one of these men is a great honor. Today begins the initiation of Raroe, who appears at the center of the screen. At 25, he has been a regular participant at these gatherings, and as the son of one of the most highly respected shamans, he is privileged. Raroe is determined to become a great shaman, and for several days now, he has been preparing for his initiation. Raroe moves quickly through the forest.
Als ich noch klein war, kamen die Weißen zu meinem Dorf nach Tototobi. Sie haben allen am Arm Blut abgenommen und uns dafür kleine Geschenke, zum Beispiel Messer oder Taschenlampen, gegeben. Ich habe erfahren, dass dieses Blut immer noch in irgendwelchen Labors aufbewahrt wird. Und sie sind davon überzeugt, es zu spüren, wenn diese Essenz der Erinnerung manipuliert wird. Wo und zu welchen Zwecken auch immer. Die Yanomami sind sich inzwischen im Klaren darüber, dass der biologische und genetische Reichtum der Apotheke Regenwald ein wichtiger Beitrag zur Bekämpfung bisher unheilbarer Krankheiten wie Alzheimer, AIDS und Krebs leisten kann. Sie sind auch bereit zu geben, ihr Wissen zu teilen. Aber sie wollen es sich nicht hinterrücks stehlen lassen. Vielmehr könnte ein fairer Anteil an den Gewinnen der Pharmaindustrie dazu beitragen, die Wälder und die Lebensweise ihrer Bewohner zu erhalten. Dafür begeben sich die Schamanen auf eine nicht ungefährliche, visionäre Reise, auf der ihnen viele andere Tiergestalten begegnen. Dabei werden sie mit negativer Energie konfrontiert, die schnellstens beseitigt werden muss. Je mehr sie von der Droge nehmen, desto tiefer dringen sie in die Geisterwelt ein. Die Welt der Geister ist ein Spiegel des Diesseits. Auch dort gibt es Wälder, die von unterschiedlichsten Wesen bewohnt werden. Der mächtigste aller Hekura, dem man auf so einer Reise begegnen kann, ist der Jaguar. Wer mit seiner spirituellen Kraft verschmilzt, hat die Stärke, den Geist jeder Krankheit zu besiegen. Der Kampf beginnt. Der Geist der Shakibine wird eingeschüchtert und geschlagen. Der Jaguar hat den Schamanen ungeahnte Energien verliehen. Mit vereinten Kräften schaffen sie es, die Krankheit aus dem Körper des Patienten herauszuziehen. Alle Schamanen hier sind Absolventen einer Schamanenschule und haben ihr Wissen in einer mehrjährigen Ausbildung erworben. Jeder kann diese Fähigkeit erlernen, aber nur wenigen gelingt es, die Macht über die Hekura, die Hilfsgeister, auch zu behalten. Den Klebstoff. Vor allem die jungen Mädchen haben, wie überall auf der Welt, besonderen Spaß daran, sich anzumalen, zumal alle Feste immer auch ein bisschen Brautschau sind. Sie möchten das Interesse der Männer wecken und auf die eigenen weiblichen Vorzüge aufmerksam machen. In einer Art Festzug geht es zurück in die Maloka. Hier findet der Höhepunkt des Festes statt. Fast alle Urvölker sorgen mit solchen Dankeszeremonien für eine Ausgewogenheit zwischen ihrer Welt und dem unsichtbaren Reich. Kein Baum wird gefällt, kein Tier geschlachtet, ohne eine Ehrerbietung an die Hekura. Die roten Federn des Ara haben magische Kräfte und ermöglichen es, mit den Geistern in Verbindung zu treten. Um an diese Federn zu gelangen, benutzen die Yanomami Pfeile mit stumpfer Spitze, damit die Vögel nicht verletzt werden. Denn kommt die Feder mit Blut in Berührung, verliert sie ihre Kraft. Blut ist ein Tabu. Ich bitte euch, gebt uns unser Blut zurück. Omam, unser Schöpfer, hat mir im Traum den Auftrag gegeben, es in den Fluss zu schütten. Das ist für mich das Allerwichtigste in meinem Leben.